You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hello there, and welcome to the Bombad Generals. It's Seth. I'm here with Matt, and we have finally, the stars have aligned, and we have Todd here with us. How are you, Todd?
I'm good. Nice to finally be here.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming. Some technical difficulties, so we couldn't get the camera going. But, you know, is what it is. We'll take anything we can get. So, since you're the guest of honor, Todd, of course, for our main segment, it's going to be all focused on you. So, Todd, when it comes to Star Wars Legion, what have you been running recently?
Well, you know what, guys, I've actually got to go. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I got a work thing, so yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, and he's gone.
There goes our whole podcast for this episode.
Yeah, so the show must go on.
Yeah, I guess we'll
Seth,
just keep
have you
going.
been running something? Have you been running anything you want to talk about? Cody's coming out. You got a game in with Cody?
And we got lucky. I have got a game of Cody. I've actually got 2 games with Cody in.
Wow,
And
what a coincidence.
Yeah. What a coincidence. And I guess we'll talk about Cody. He's a new, would I say hot? No, but he is a new unit that is out for the Gar faction.
He is a newness. He is a unit that exists in this game now.
He is a unit that exists that will probably be on my shelf. And I may go into the reasonings why. No, you know what? I will. You know what? I'm feeling a rant today since Todd already he messed up our whole podcast. I'm feeling a rant, and this is going to be a Cody rant. Yeah, well, so I've been running Cody. I ran 2 different lists with Cody. One you made for me, and the other I kind of made myself. One of the lists I ran was a Cody, triple ATRT, and spam phase 1 captains with shotguns.
Yes, that was the meme list I made for you for ladder.
So I thank you. I hated playing it, every minute of it. Deployment, yes. I see. After I deployed, I was like, I'm screwed. So it was a good game. I actually played last week's guest, Eternal, and the ladder league single limb matchup, and he played his Asajj list that we talked about last week. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't listened to it yet. And I played that Cody triple ATRT list, and let me say that was my first game with Cody, and I already wasn't really impressed with Cody and his command cards. Beforehand, and I was maybe I'll put it on the table and see if it see if it goes off.
That can happen. Yep.
It didn't. Just for me, it did not. But mainly I think it was because I was running ATRTs as well. ATRTs
probably one of the candidates for worst unit in the game.
Yes.
ATRTs right now, for sure.
And Cody did not make them better, unfortunately. They're still bad. The other list I ran, it was actually a Cody Saber Tank list.
Okay.
And that I feel had better legs on it than the Cody triple ATRT list, simply because the Saber Tank actually has legs on its own without Cody. But it's still not great. I don't think I'm ever going to play Cody competitively, honestly. After playing those 2 games, I'm just you know what? Cody's a casual player for me, and here, I got some reasons why. I'm just gonna go in depth about. Let's talk about his unit card, his command cards, and then we'll go into some strengths and weaknesses that he has. Well, his unit card, he costs at 105 points, so he's actually. He's 5 more points less, five points less than Rex. So that's good. I feel like if you're taking a clone army, you're gonna. I'm sorry, he's 5 more points more than Rex.
5 points more. Yeah, I was doing the math. I was wait a second.
I was like, wait. I couldn't remember if Rex was like 110 or 100.
Well, just wait till the next update.
Oh gosh, back to 90, please.
Please.
But so he comes in at 105 points. He's got 1 command card slot, 1 training slot, 1 gear slot. Observe 2, jump 1, take cover, direct vehicle, target. He's got surge to crit, 5 wounds, 2 courage, red defense, does not surge on blocks, unlike Moff Gideon, but oh well. His gun is decent. It's a range 1 to 4, 2 red, a black and a white. It's a worse version of Bosk, in my opinion.
He doesn't have sharpshooter.
No sharpshooter.
He has to pay an aim to pierce.
Yeah, it's not that good, and he doesn't have bounty, and he doesn't have the same aim support that Bosk has, in my opinion. There's more tricks that you have to do to get the aim support. Unless you could do like run hunter on him. So just like his unit card itself, when I was playing the game, I was trying to do his command cards, and then I kind of pivoted. I was like, you know what? Let me just rely on his unit cards, because a lot of people have been like, man, like he's such a good fire support platform. Like he is a good fire support platform, but I don't think he's like the best fire support platform. So like he's like. If you don't have a fire support shot on him, I feel like his gun's pretty lackluster, because you're normally shooting in heavy cover, especially if you're at range 4. Like it's almost guaranteed heavy cover. You can use jump 1 to like get out of cover, but it's still most of the time going to be heavy cover, just because of how the cover rules are. And you normally have like 1, maybe 2 aims. Rarely will you have 3 aims. Because like of like hunter or something, and like you're averaging, I think it's like 1 to 2 hits through, and then you have to spend an aim for pierce. So it's not super good.
Maybe you aim him with clone token sharing.
Yeah, so you have a token sharing, you have target, which you have to give him the order, and then you also have like hunter if you want to run on him. So max 3 aims. You can't really get more than 3 unless you have like
in
exemplar.
which case you're slowing things down. Fire supports are usually going to be, sometimes they're late. A lot of the time you're going for them early before people move or delete units. And the whole thing with Cody just feels like he's slow to me.
He's very slow.
Who's not played him. 2 of his cards have effects when you spend observation tokens, which means he needs to go first, put observation tokens on, then you go later with someone else. Or, if you want to shoot with him and aim him up, then maybe you have to go with someone else to get aims. Yeah. It's just clunky.
It is clunky. And after like really processing it after the games, I really thought like he has 2 different roles. He has command cards that you have to do a lot of steps in order for them to hit off, or you could just use them as a fire support platform, but you can't do both at the same time, because like fire support platform, you're normally going first, like, and you're moving and shooting, where like you're the whole like or not always first, but like if you're doing the command cards, you really have to go first, and you have to set it up. Like you have to get within range 3 on observe. And I think one of his biggest weaknesses is that he has a range 4 gun, but like in order for his command cards to be effective, he has to be within range 3, because you have to hand out those observe tokens. So honestly, like I would use like those command cards as like an observe when you get the double tap for observe. So observe 4, I just use that twice to get more rerolls off of like a fire support shot. That's what I would like. That worked a lot better than like doing all the steps you needed to do the command cards, which let's actually talk about the command cards. Because we're saying all the steps, and then so let's go to the 3-pip combined arms. So during his activation, Clone Commander Cody may perform 2, get the 2 observe actions, and when a friendly unit declares an attack, they spend an observation token. So not to get the reroll, but they still take an observation token out. And then if they do, the attack after the attacker is resolved, a unit at range 1 of the vehicle may perform a speed 1 move. So that's helpful. Like that can go off.
Free moves.
Free moves are
free in quotation marks. Yeah.
Free moves. Yes. It's a great. I think it's good for like hostage exchange to get those moves out. Just because your whole task would be just to move the hostage back. It's like decent to like set up fire supports, but here's the thing: you want to use Cody as a fire support platform, and so what you do is you want to set them up, that unit up, to get in range to fire support Cody, but Cody has to go first, and then they move. So he has to go first, get the observation tokens out. Then the tank or the vehicle has to shoot that specific unit. Then that unit then gets within range of fire support. So it's like
I guess if you're doing the reverse and you're trying to get out fire support and then move out of range and get cagey,
do that. But you're still taking, that's still like 2 more turns or 2 more times your opponent can shoot that unit that is in range of that fire support or get out of range of that fire support. Like the thing about fire supports, we've talked about this a lot, is good players know how to work around fire supports. And if you're gonna build Cody around a fire support, that's why I said it's not gonna be a competitive advantage. It's like it could happen. Like I'm not gonna say like, oh, like this doesn't, like it's not gonna work. But it's like out of, let's say you go to a tournament and you're playing 6 rounds over 2 days. It's maybe gonna happen once or twice that it's gonna pop off. If that happens, and if that does, it's going to happen early in the game because your more experienced players will know how to play around that. Like,
right. A game that you probably had an upper hand in anyways. It's the thing with Gar, I think, is that over time, all sorts of units people look at and say, well, hey, it's a good fire support platform. And you can only get so many fire supports off. Yeah. Right? Like a Bark is a pretty good fire support platform. It surges to hit. Honestly, the difference between surge to hit and surge to crit, unless you're really facing armor, and yes, Dark Troopers are a big thing in this meta. But also, I don't think Cody's enough to...
No,
like,
not
he's not your
close.
make or break into Dark Troopers, right? He's not moving the needle all that much, maybe a little bit. His gun can actually shoot them out of cover. The difference between surge to crit and surge to hit against non-armor, not really doing a whole lot. Yes, getting lethal is really nice, but Barks can maybe even flank and get an out of cover shot.
Yeah.
Or Echo. Echo's a really good unit on his own. He's bringing reliable to help the army. He can move and then shoot, so he's got his aim for lethal, whereas, Cody would be getting it from target. And he's got sharpshooter, 2 red, which is almost just as good.
Yeah, almost.
Less good surge conversion because he's only got critical 1. Most of the time that'll be good enough. But like there's just cheaper things that can be good fire support platforms. And yeah, that 3-pip, it's fine that we started with that one because I'd say that was pretty universally looked at as, hey, this is the best card Cody has. And it's one of those things you look at it and you start thinking about Magic Christmas Land where everything goes off.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, yeah. What the Bombad General said that getting a whole bunch of speed 1 moves on your whole army is not good. It's like, well, it's really good. It's all the other stuff that the sequence of events, once you actually put it on the table, it's not going to feel awesome.
Yeah, like everything has to go right for you in order for that to pop off well. And a lot of times especially with a miniature game, everything normally doesn't go all right for you.
And if you're building competitively, you're not building in a, hey, what if everything goes right world? You're building a, how do I mitigate the downsides if not everything goes right? How do I build that flex in so that I can recover from that?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just building like a house of cards and boom, it's going to come tumbling down.
So the only reason I like his 3-pip, if you're running more than 2 vehicles, is that it gets 4 orders out. But like with this direct, if you're running 3 vehicles, you have at least 5 orders just from a 3-pip, which is really good in Gar. You can obviously add the Clone Commander with 5s, and that like adds 7. So like that in itself is pretty good. like I only use that for like the extra orders, and using like his again, like the double tap for the observe is just like to up his own value as a shooter. And
yeah, if he's shooting, it's kind of like a free action aim.
Yeah,
it's technically a little bit better.
So it's actually free action
the same
2
die
aim,
twice.
But yeah, free action 2 times.
No, it's observe. Well, yes, if you're
observe
playing
too,
it on
and
his,
then
yes, if you're playing it on his 1 pip or his
Yes.
3 pip, then you get double aim. So then, yeah, those are pretty nice. But also, you know, these command cards these days can do a lot more value for you than, hey, I get a couple aims.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that. I think too, it's, you know, you mentioned Clone Commander, and I think that's a transition into how does he look for the slot, because in GAR especially, Commander is a very, very competitive slot, right? You've got your Jedi, you know, that's the big one. You've got Jedi, you've got Clone Commander who supports your army with surges because he can bolster. He can direct to a core trooper, which can actually set up fire supports. Cody, on his 1 pip, sure, he can make a good fire support, but you're going to have to get an order onto someone else, which means HQ uplink or comms relay or something from the vehicle that he directs back to the core. Or you're running him with a Clone Commander, which means, again, you don't have other commanders in the list.
And you don't have a Force user.
Yes, that's where I'm getting to here as well. Force users, it stands out. You played Cody in 2 matches where you didn't have a Force user, which makes sense. A lot of what he leans into, it's kind of tough to make. If you're going the Saber route, especially, it's really hard to put a Force user in there. And you're going to get torn up by Force users, which I think happened in the ATRT game, which it's ATRTs, but Saj kind of got to do whatever the heck she wanted, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what she did. And I after playing that game, I was like, I'm never leaving a competitive game without a Force user, or like. But even then, it's like GAR doesn't have like a good melee counter outside of Wookiees or another Force user, and you're not going to bring Wookiees in like a clone vehicle list. So there's like. You have to, for Cody to be effective, it has to be pretty much a pure clone list with vehicles, and that's just not an effective list right now in today's meta.
Well, so for me, the one that I've had my eye on since kind of day one is Cody Barks, because this was kind of what I was thinking when we saw his unit card, right? He directs to a vehicle, but if you put him with a Saber tank, you're not going to be able to get a Jedi. You're going to get chopped up. If you put him with an ATRT or a Fluttercraft or an ISP, those are all bad. So, or a LAT. So that really leaves you. I guess maybe you could do. Maybe you could do something weird with Cody and a LAT and onboard comms.
You lost me at weird and LAT. So
yeah.
The thing about GAR is like GAR is not weird. They're efficient. Like you need efficient activations because
they
you're
don't
running
have the points.
Yeah, they don't. Like you're running 9 activations and everything needs to hit well.
Right. Okay. So take the LAT out of play. So that leaves you with Barks, and Barks are good. Now, is direct Bark really awesome? No, but hey, getting an order on your Bark is never a terrible thing.
Yeah.
They lack order control. Bikes like order control. GAR can't give it to them, so a little bit of directing ain't bad.
Yoda can.
And basically, hey, I want a Force user. I'm not gonna put Yoda with Cody.
No.
Obi-Wan,
I'm just like,
maybe Obi-Wan, or Anakin. So like Anakin Cody is kind of the one that's caught my eye the most, but I just feel like, what's Cody really doing there? If you need anti-armor from a fire support, Anakin is great at that, but you're going to need a clone commander to set up those fire supports for him, most likely. Right? Like, Anakin Barks is a fine list. Anakin Cody Barks feels like you're taking away whatever that is, 50 points to upgrade your generic clone commander to Cody. 50 points is a medic and a heavy on one of your P1s or a couple heavies. It's a lot.
Yeah, you're forcing something that doesn't naturally work together.
And that list is not starved for fire support platforms. Again, you've got Barks, you've got Anakin, you might have Echo, and now you have Surges. So your army, you've got a Force Push, you've got Surges. I mean, I guess you have Force Push and Surges if you go Cody, Anakin, but like, it's just... yeah, I struggle to see what he brings. 2-pip, did you get anything off with the 2-pip that you liked?
No, it's... Yeah. Just because, so both of the games I played, I actually went up against, both of them had bounty hunters. One, Asajj played bounty because there was no other force user. And the other, I played against Boba and he had bounty. And honestly, Cody's like a really good bounty target because like I found that like my Asajj list is like all of my army was going up and Cody was struggling to keep up because he wanted to stay back because of that bounty threat. So he wasn't really in range one of someone who was going to be shot. The other one, like I was doing a thing with like Cody Boyle, and like it didn't really like hit off. One of the big things why is because the vehicles, like their silhouettes now block like a ton of line of sight. Right. So that's like a huge thing that you have to think about when like positioning like your vehicles, especially like when you're running ATRTs, and your Saber like gets a huge line of sight blocker. So a lot of the times like they would maybe shoot like Boyle with Guardian, but the Saber tank was already like line of sight blocking, and that was probably just a misplay for me. Of course, that was like my second time playing Cody, but it's just it wasn't as effective as I thought it would be.
It's something that puts agency in the hands of your opponent, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, there is forcing bad decisions, you know, where, hey, whatever you do, it's not going to be good. You know, putting your opponent between a rock and a hard place. And then there's just like this, which is like... I can play around that pretty easily if I'm on the other side. And like, maybe it's a big deterrent.
It's not.
You know.
Yeah.
I probably don't really want to shoot Cody anyways. If I have other shots, like it's not going to make me really cry for a turn that, oh no, I'm a little less incentivized to shoot Cody, or I just shoot him and take 4 dice back in heavy cover because he doesn't have aims to modify. And
there won't be any aims. Like he'll have one shot with like an aim or 2, and that's it. Yeah. Like you could, especially if you're running like red saves, you could save out on one shot coming in,
or just take a suppression because he gets 2 and cover takes care of it. Did you ever use the take cover action on him? With the Saber tank, I guess, especially,
never
action
did.
Starved, I feel.
No, never did. It's just like dodges on Saber tank are good, but 2, I'd rather have. There was other efficient like things I was trying to use with Cody, like for positioning, especially with jump, that I just felt were more useful. I think take cover may be a good like in like a slow game, like a sabotage, the motion evaporators, but like. I feel like to be super effective, like you want to bring the portable scanner to take cover 2 just to get the 2 dodges out there.
Right. Take cover 2s, that's not bad because then if you're doing Cody with Anakin, you put one on Anakin that Anakin can share with the army. You put one on Cody, or a clone, and that clone can share with their clone friends. That's not terrible.
I found myself like actually doing, if I did the take cover action, like I actually like would do it on like the clone more than I would do it on like a Saber tank, just because to get that sharing. But then again, he can just take a dodge action. Like you don't need to take cover.
That's the thing. If it's for just the clone sharing itself, like a dodge action's almost as good. I don't want to get too negative, especially because, like, hey, this is the big flashy new release. So we kind of talked through some of the problems we're seeing with Cody. Maybe someone will prove us wrong. But if you wanted to really make him work, I guess recap that we're thinking of, take cover. So maybe put portable scanner on him and get take cover 2.
I'd put
could be nice.
Hunter on him would think is
I
really
think
good.
Hunter. I think you got it because again for that Guardian shot, if you have Hunter now, suddenly you can get an aim on every single shot.
Every shot
if you need to, right? And it's just free aim generation. for him. So Hunter, I think. So that's 12 points we just put on him.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at 117. You know who else is basically 117? IG88 kitted out.
Oh, gosh.
With what I like on him.
Oh, man. That's
He was
really...
shredding me last night. I was playing some clones. IG was making my days sad. But anyways, yeah. That gives you a comparison of what we're talking about here. Like, maybe that's an Empire problem, but their heroes are so good.
Yes.
But take cover, or I keep saying that. Portable scanner, Hunter, 2 really good upgrade options. I say put him with Anakin and Barks. Try him in a lat. Who's gonna get mad at you? I think maybe actually even Obi-Wan, because again you could take cover onto Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan can guardian those. You can get the weird. You don't need Boyle around because you're doing the weird interaction between on the 2-pip between Obi-Wan and Cody. So hey, they shoot anyone in your army, you guardian them onto Obi-Wan. Now you're going to want medics for that because Obi-Wan will blank.
Yep.
Because that's the thing too. It's only if they do wounds, right? It's only if they do wounds. Which, if someone's not doing wounds to you, then you don't feel too bad, I guess. That's
true.
The thing. So yeah, those I'd say are some quick hits, things to try. Boyle, do we want to touch really quickly on Boyle? Because he seems like the best part of this pack.
Yes.
He's the guy I'd get excited about.
He's the guy. There's one guy that we both know, Dash, Mike Berry. He's a huge Boyle fan, and I played Boyle one time so far, and honestly, just a great Guardian 1 on a Phase 1 unit is just a really good taking shots off of your other more valuable clones is just a really good upgrade.
Big.
Yeah, especially because
Guardian's a really good keyword.
Yeah, it's just I find it now to be like, oh, I can take a medic, but I'm like, oh, would I rather take Boyle because it's the same point cost.
Yeah, and Protector IRG are 69 points ish, 67.
Yes,
I think so. There's 69 base, and then I think there's 74. Now they give you Guardian 2.
Yeah.
With 6 saves. Without no heavy, I think they're getting to 74. Mm-hmm. Whereas a P1 with Boyle is getting to 67 points. Only Guardian 1, only 5 saves, but they're a clone unit, so they can sit there, they can aim dodge and just feed your army tokens.
Yes.
And they're guardianing clones, which is really nice. Now, one thing to remember, that to be aware of, is that when you're guardianing, you are not the defender of the attack, which means you can't use clone token sharing. Mm-hmm. So if someone has a surge, clones can only share tokens when they're attacking or when they're defending. Guardian is outside of that. So you can't use someone else's surge if they're a clone. If Exemplar is around, if Anakin's there, heck yeah, because Exemplar says you can spend their tokens as if they were yours. Mm-hmm. So Boyle in an Anakin or in a Yoda turn, when Yoda's creating surges with his 3-pip, no problem. And yeah, 67 for a little support unit. That's good.
That's
value.
pretty good. That's pretty good. That's 2 points off of what Echo's giving you. Echo's coming in 69.
Just a couple points more. Exactly. So you lose that offense, but you gain the tankiness. So that could just be a quick swap in a lot of lists as far as I see it. Oh no, 66. 1 point more. 1 point more for Echo. But that, not bad at all.
Not bad
at all.
Not bad.
And then Waxer's Waxer.
Waxer, don't bring him. Disciplined one is just not.
One final thing, because we mentioned Obi-Wan and we mentioned Guardian. Something that I think I maybe missed on the new CRB is that the wording on high velocity changed. Ooh. So now, here, I will bring it up even on Legion Quick Guide. Plug for Legion Quick Guide. It takes everything, alphabetizes it, really, really nice and easy to look up, desktop or mobile. It's awesome. What keyword was I talking about just now? High velocity.
High velocity with Guardian interaction.
Yes. It now says, while defending against an attack, the defending unit cannot spend dodge tokens. So, Obi-Wan's not the defending unit. He's the only one who can spend dodges on a Guardian because of Seresu Mastery. So, they were kind of waning in popularity, high velocity snipers, but they just won Worlds They might be on an uptick, especially because Empire doesn't really like facing snipers, unless they've got bikes. They've got a lot of red saves that they don't want pierced. Obi-Wan can come in and say, hey, high velocity snipers, you're not doing anything to my clones. I'm going to Guardian and I'm going to dodge it. I'm going to Guardian and I'm going to dodge it. So that's actually a slight, a stealth buff to Obi-Wan that kind of missed us.
That very stealth that doesn't really help him.
I don't think it takes him into a good enough tier for now, but
who knows?
If he gets more buffs coming up, keep that in mind, that you see those buffs will be more clear. And then there's in the background, there's a little high velocity change that's also making him even better. And
disclaimer, we are
snipers anyway. Yeah.
Disclaimer, we are not playtesters, so we are not like saying that this will happen.
I'm just guessing that he's going to get a buff.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're guessing.
So.
He better.
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I think it's important for characters like Obi-Wan to get buffs too, because they're really important characters, like named characters from the movies that people love, but also like the core set characters. I think keeping them relevant and decent is generally a good idea, because it sucks in games when you buy a core set and it's like, these all suck.
And Obi-Wan has a very unique playstyle that you could really, just seeing different playstyles out there is really cool also.
Yeah, and medics are better now, so the downside risk of him failing a save here or there is less, because you can heal it back. You're probably taking medics anyways to heal guys.
Yeah.
So good stuff. We went on a long time, which is good on a whim. So It's been a while, but let's head to break, get an ad in from our great sponsors, and then we can come back with some key keywords and such. Having a well-balanced diet is important, but it's so hard these days. When I get home from a long day thinking about lists at the office, I don't want to cook. That's where Ewok Plate comes in. It's a meal service that delivers fresh ingredients straight to your door. All the roots, vegetables, and stormtrooper meat you could want. Only 15 minutes of prep for each meal. Use code YUMNUB for 50% off your first 3 meals. And we're back. So Seth, I actually came up with a key keyword this week because I'm putting R2 in a list again.
Ooh,
this weekend I'm going to run Anakin
R2.
Saber Tank with R2.
With Cody?
No.
Okay.
Not with Cody.
Okay.
Not even with Boyle. I tried to put in a pre-order locally. They might have lost my message. I haven't gotten any notification that it is here yet. We will see. I might.
We'll see.
By the time this airs, I may own Cody. I may have to pick him up this weekend. But no, it's Anakin Saber. R2 has repair. I want to talk a little bit about that keyword because it's a weird keyword for a number of reasons, and it's a confusing keyword for a lot of the time for new players. So let's start off with, I think, what's the most confusing thing for people, which is repair X, capacity Y. The same thing goes for treat as well. They work the same way. So in R2's case, repair 2, capacity 2. Seth, how does that work? Like, how many wounds can R2 actually heal off of things?
So the repair X, that X after repair means how many times they could do it. So he could repair 2 times, and the capacity 2 is each time he repairs, he heals X amount of wounds. So that capacity X. So it's a total of 4 wounds that he can take off. It does take an action, but it's the whole
other way around. Repair 2 means he takes 2 wounds off.
Capacity
Y means he does it twice. This is you'll see why when we talk about Del. Yes.
Gotcha.
Because Del is repair 2, capacity 1.
Okay.
So he repairs 2 wounds once. But no, that's either way we got there. As far as it's not, some people think that, hey, repair 2, because the marker on the token marker for the card is a wound token. People think, hey, I repaired 2 wounds. I put 2 wound tokens on my card. Now he's all filled up. No, just anytime you use it, you put 1 wound token on to show you've spent the charge once. So you get a total of 4. Now, what can repair do versus what can treat do. I've got them up again on Legion Quick Guide, getting a few plugs this episode.
Hey.
Repair can take care of wounds on droid troopers or vehicles. It can take care of ion, or it can take care of vehicle damage tokens. So that's, your weapon disabled, your the movement one, the roll a white dice one. I forget their official names, right? But those, when the vehicle hits its resiliency, it gets that token. Repair can take care of those. Now, quiz number 2, Seth. Do a bit better this time, hopefully. Okay. If I've got repair 2, can I take off a wound and a damage token at the same time?
I don't believe you can. I think it has to be the same token.
Correct. It has to be the same token. So if I'm repairing with R2, I either take off 2 ion tokens or 2 wound tokens, not an ion and a wound. This is important with R2 as well, because actually the thing I missed was you can bring back droids or vehicle models, right? So if R2 wants to bring back C-3PO who just died, then I'm bringing back a model. I can't also repair 1 wound, because if I'm using repair 2, I'd have to bring back 2 models if I choose models. So essentially, you're choosing which category you're doing, and then you're getting X of it. So in R2's case, 2.
So just confirming.
Yes.
So like we're removing a wound off of C-3PO. If he coming back into play, that's not actually considered removing a wound. You're actually just bringing him back into play, or
so let's say R2
restoring a mini. I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah, you're restoring a mini.
Yeah. So
R2 or C-3PO would come back with 1 wound on him because you come back with 1 minus your wound threshold. You can't use that second part of R2's repair because you've spent 1 to bring a mini back. You can't use the second part to remove a wound because that's 2 different things.
Okay.
If you were in like a weird doubles game, I guess, where you had a multi-mini droid unit, so a B1, let's say, R2 could bring 2 B1s back. You just can't mix and match.
Yeah.
Right? So that's an important thing to be aware of. Because not many people run 3PO, but I like 3PO. He's a fun guy.
Yeah. They will be soon.
Yeah. Well, what are we alluding to the to
Ewoks.
buffs or something else? Oh, Ewoks.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that makes me very excited. Soon, hopefully. We don't know release date for those yet. Now, if I'm bringing back minis, quiz number 3. When can I bring back a mini?
The same round that mini has been destroyed.
Correct. Yes.
Or taken off the board. Yeah.
I don't know what we need to say there, but yeah, if you got medics, just make sure you know who died this round and who didn't.
Yep.
This is why sometimes I see people with like really low activation lists and they put a lot of medics in. And the thing to be aware of there is that, hey, if I take 6 PK droids, I saw a list like this today. It was 8 acts with like 6 PK droids or something, or a bunch of them. Sure, you have a lot of repair, but after you go with 8 activations, all the wounds I start doing, after you go with all your PK droids, I should say, all the wounds I'm doing, you're not bringing those guys back.
Nope.
For minis. Now, if it's a wound on a character or a vehicle, a multi-wound unit, you can take those off at any time. You don't have to be like, hey, I gave Anakin a wound last round, so you can't take off the wound this round. That's not how it works. Wounds you can always take off, but returning miniatures, they have to have died that round. Now, for the last... Oh, actually, I thought of a real example where repair 2... we can kind of see how it works as well. I guess just an alternate example. Dell has repair 2 capacity 1, so he can repair 2 once. Imperial speeder bikes, much like R2 and 3PO, Dell can bring back a speeder bike model, but he can't also heal it, or he can heal 2 off of a speeder bike.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yes, that sidetracked me, but final quiz question, I think, for the nuances of treat and repair.
Okay.
Let's say I have an IRG squad.
All right.
They were at 4 miniatures.
Okay.
Full health. You do 3 wounds to them. So now I have 2 IRGs and a guy with 1 wound on him and a dead guy. It's still the same round. I use treat on them. Can I bring back the other guy who just died? Or do I have to heal the wound that's on them first?
No, you can restore them any.
You betcha, baby. Yeah. A lot of people kind of assume that you have to fully heal a unit before you can bring back miniatures. This is not the case.
Not the case.
So going back to our Dell example, if you've got a speeder bike that, 1 mini just left and there's 1 wound on the leader, you don't have to repair that wound on the leader before bringing back the extra model. So usually you want to bring back the extra model because that's more firepower. Wound-wise, you're coming out the same. You're getting a wound back either way in our IRG example. But now I've got 4 guys. That extra guy can throw more dice. So, in summary, you can't mix and match repair types or healing types because healing does. We don't really have anyone who heals multiple things. Nope. But you can't mix and match. You can only restore miniatures that died that round. Mm-hmm. You can restore miniatures even if a unit has wounds on it. And capacity is just the number of times that you can repair X or treat X. And then the last very weird thing is that it's the one keyword in the game that doesn't stack. Mm-hmm. So if you have 2 instances of treat 1, capacity 1, for example, you have a clone medic and they pick up back to capsules in supply drop, those don't interact at all because if they added together and you got treat 2, capacity 2, now suddenly you have 4 wounds, like it grows geometrically, and we don't want that. So essentially you have 2 separate treat 1, capacity 1 keywords, and you can actually use those actions in the same activation.
Yeah, they're so 2 different.
Also, yes. So even if you have 2 back to capsules, you can't do the same action or free action twice in a turn. Treat and repair, because of this weird rules interaction, you are actually allowed to do that.
Well, I think because the wording says you can only do a card action once, and they're 2 different cards, so you're doing each card action once.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the. I think it's a combination of that and the fact that they basically have to say, "Hey, these things don't interact."
Yeah.
Is the explanation. So it's a confusing keyword. Hopefully my weird side tangents didn't make it even more confusing. But it's a good keyword, bringing back miniatures that have died, or bringing wounds off of a key character. Very good. Very good.
Man, Matt, thanks so much for sharing that treat capacity. Man, that's kind of.
For a second, I thought you were like, "That's a treat. That's a really a great analysis."
I should have. I should have.
Capacity. I thought, "Oh no!"
I should have treat and capacity. Oh well, too late now. Too late. But thanks so much, viewers. Before we just end this land this plane, we just want to apologize for the absence of Todd. I know that you guys were really excited just to hear his thoughts and hear his ideas, but work emergency, he's got to pay those bills. So hopefully we can get him on in the future, but that's kind of all we have today. Thanks so much for listening, and stay Gungan.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, aim losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.